General MacArthur drops a atomic bomb.
Hello everyone, welcome back. This is turn 2 of my solo play of 1951. Going into purchases, well, actually give a quick overview. So turn 1, pretty favorable for the communists. Again, they took Turkey and India, which has given them huge powers down there in the center part of the map. They almost got Japan, but made some strong headways into Europe. NATO did attempt a counterattack into Austria that did not go their way. So going into purchases, we got for Russia 2 technology dice, a miner, mech infantry and mobile artillery, and a jet fighter. China is getting a miner, a jet fighter, a mech, and a mobile artillery. And also there's a special rule for China. So starting turn 2, what can happen is you can take this miner off of Peking and take one of the other China miners, and you can combine them at the end of the turn to make a major factory that, I mean, you won't be able to deploy 10 soldiers at the end of turn 2, but you can beginning at the end of turn 3. So go over to my board here, pull out a major factory. So these 2 will equal a major, and this is a one-time thing that China can do. And this major will be placed right up here in Peking. So we'll quickly resolve the Soviet technology dice before we go into planning the attack or showing the attacks. So once again, the Soviets are going for their advanced submarines. Ooh, double sixes, and they unlocked advanced submarines, which adds one to each of the stats for submarines. So it attacks on a 3, defends on a 1, can combat attack 3, and non-combat 4. Or I'll have to double check. I think it's 3, 2, 3, 3 actually. But I'll have to double check that in a little bit. But so get a Soviet marker here. Mark their technology. All right, so now we will get into showing the attacks. All right, going into communist attacks. The Soviet fleet, the Soviet Northern Fleet, will be attacking the NATO fleet. Here, NATO will also be scrambling a fighter off of Norway for the defense there. The Soviets are going to launch an atomic attack against the northern NATO army in northern Germany, while at the same time attacking southern Germany. If the attack up north succeeds, it'll freeze the NATO army up there for 1 turn, which, playing as the Soviets, is hopefully something that'll get us into a position that for 1 turn can help us deal a deadly blow to the NATO lines. Following that up, the Soviet fleet here is going to attack the US 6th fleet with NATO ships as well, which is this fleet right here, off of Israel. And if they can succeed, they will launch a landing against the Israeli army. 3 Chinese infantry from India are going to move into East Pakistan. The 1 Chinese infantry from Guangxi is going to move into North Vietnam. And finally, once again, the communists are going to attempt an invasion of Japan. They don't have to fight a sea battle. Oh, they're also going to attack South Korea. Got to try and get that. But then, yes, then the big deal over here is that they're going to launch another ground invasion of Japan, supported by Russian paratroopers, air groups, and all that. So let's see here. We will start, well, we're on this side of the map, so we'll start here. And we'll start with the the communist invasion of Japan. Get the battle board set up. Let's see, the U.S. for defense has 2 infantry, an artillery, a jet, or a fighter, a jet, 2 strategic bombers. Unfortunately, will probably bear some destruction in here. And in the U.S. on the carrier off of Japan will scramble their jet and fighter as well to the defense, as well as the U.S. does have 1 anti-aircraft gun for defense. So actually, kind of show this. And then the communists are attacking with 2 Chinese infantry, 2 Chinese artillery, which will give the plus 1 attack for them. Let's see here. They're also going with a Russian tank, a Russian infantry, another Russian infantry, a Russian artillery. And then let's see here. We got a Russian strategic bomber, Russian jet, a Chinese fighter, and then the 2 airborne units. However, there will be an anti-aircraft gun roll against the air transport, well, all the air units. And if the air transport is shot down, then the airborne is automatically killed and does not get to partake in the fight. So, let's go to the dice rolls and let's see what we get. Alright, so first is the air transport. Survives, so the 2 Russian paratroopers can go in. The Chinese fighter, unfortunately, is hit. The Russian jet makes it, and the Russian strategic bomber makes it. Okay, so we got 1 Russian infantry for 1, miss. Then we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, a total of 8 communist 8 for 2. So this is the first 4. Wow, nothing. Still nothing. Goodness gracious, they are hitting nothing. And then the 1 tank for 3. Hit. We'll take that on the well, actually, no. We'll take it on an infantry. We won't take it on the anti-aircraft gun. You still need that. And then the jet and bomber for 4. And that's 2 hits. And we will shoot. It's 2 hits. Okay, we're going to have to take it on the anti-aircraft gun. And we'll take it on another infantry. Drat. Okay. Now the defense. So 2 strategic bombers for 1. And we got a hit. 2 infantry and artillery for 3. Another 1. And then we got 2 fighters and 2 jets for 4. Ooh, okay, 3 hits. Let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. So this is the Allies are now unfortunately left with not a lot of units. Let's see here. I could retreat and get the artillery. You know what? We are going to try and retreat. We can retreat the artillery onto to one of the American transports that's out there. Okay. So we got a strategic bomb. So we have 2 strategic bombers. Make it. Makes it. They will retreat to Okinawa. The artillery makes it back onto a U.S. transport. And then we got 2 fighters. Whoops. Makes it. Makes it. And then 2 jets. Makes it. Makes it. So the entire U.S. force is able to retreat off of Japan. So let's see. Let's see here. So let's see here. We'll take a fighter and a jet and bring them over to Okinawa. Yep, 1. You can automatically go there. Why are you on your side? And then the other fighter jet, the other fighter and jet fighter will land back on the carrier. Yeah. Okay. And then that leaves the Soviets in control of Japan, which is 5 IPC. Another 5 IPC for Russia. And that's another, and that is their 7th victory city on the map. So now they just have to take they'll have to take 1 more on the Pacific side to win the game. So that is the battle for Japan. Okay. And then the Russian air units, even though it's a non-combat move, we'll just put them right back up there. All right, continuing on to South Korea. The Chinese are attacking with an infantry, artillery, a tank, and a jet, and they're squaring off against a U.S. tank and a U.S. fighter. Let's see how that goes. Yesterday, the turn 1 battle for Korea was actually quite astonishing because it's never really gone that way before. Alright, so infantry artillery for 2. Miss. Tank for 1. Or tank for 3. Hit. And jet for 4. Miss. So the U.S. tank for 3. Miss. And the U.S. fighter for 4. Hits. Alright, so because, well, I mean, the U.S. fighter could retreat. It could retreat to Hokkaido because it's connected to the next sea zone. So the fighter will attempt to retreat to Hokkaido, and it makes it. And then, so that now leaves China. Whoops. Leaves China in control of South Korea, which is 2 IPC. Sorry. Okay, sorry about that. I had to fix something. Okay, so now that leaves a Chinese artillery and tank on South Korea. Obviously, the jet will just come automatically right away back to North Korea. The U.S. fighter retreated to Hokkaido, but we don't know how long that's going to last, especially considering the main portion of Japan has been taken. All right, so then we've got China going into North Vietnam, automatically taking that for 1. China immediately going into East Pakistan for another 1. So let's see here on the IPC board, that's another 1, 2. Sato's really starting to hurt for the cash. Okay, I think that was everything on the Pacific side of the map. Yep, that's everything on the Pacific side of the map. So now we'll go over to Europe. We'll start off with the naval battle outside of Israel. That's set up. Ha. Let's see here. All right, so the Russians are attacking with 2 subs, 2 destroyers, 4 cruisers, 2 fighters, a strategic bomber, and a tactical. Then had to come over and grab the U.S. fleet card. They have 2 submarines, a transport off to the side, 3 destroyers, a carrier, a fighter, 2 cruisers, and a battleship. All right, let's get to it. All right, so we have the 2 Russian destroyers. They got 1 hit, and we'll take it right on the transport. Oh no, actually transport is not part of the battle. So we'll take it on the American submarine. And then 2, 4, so that's gonna be 8 for 3. It's 2 hits. We'll take a damage on the battleship, 2. And another 1, we'll take it on an American destroyer. Oops. Yep. And then the tactical bomber with a target select of 1. Still hits, but not a target select. We'll take that on take it on another destroyer. And then the strategic bomber misses. Okay, so the NATO fleet will fire back with 2 for 1. Yeah, 2 for 1. Misses. And then it's got 1, 2, 3, 4 for 2. It's got 2 hits. Yeah. So the 2 Soviet destroyers are gone. 2 cruisers for 3. Both misses. And then a fighter and the battleship for 4. Snake Eyes, both hits. As the Russians, oh, I guess I'll sacrifice my 2 submarines. Okay, clearing the map quick. I think as the NATO fleet, we will attempt to retreat. And we'll try and retreat through... no. We'll probably try and retreat the fleet back to Malta. Yeah, we'll try and retreat the fleet back to Malta. All right, so the carrier makes it. The destroyer makes it. Cruiser makes it. Cruiser. That's a cruiser lost. The battleship makes it. The fighter makes it. And there is that transport. Makes it. All right, so the 6th Fleet is able to retreat back to Malta. Unfortunately, that now paves the way for the Soviet ground forces to invade Israel. So let's see here. Quickly put everything back on the card, or the Navy card right now. Soviet fleet did not come out of that too well. Okay, so the Soviets are attacking with 2 mechanized infantry supported by a mobile artillery, which allows them to hit on 2, and they're attacking with a tank. Ooh. I think this might have been a mistake. I just realized. Actually, no, we're not going to attack. Yeah, actually, we're no. I just realized that, yeah, no, never mind. I'm calling off this attack. Sorry about that. I just realized that the Israeli defenses there are way too heavy for me to attack. So I am actually, because I just realized that I missed something. So instead of the attack into Israel, what the Soviets are going to do next is actually a 2-pronged attack, which is going to be into Syria and Iraq. So let's see here. Oh, well, what we can do actually is take the initial landing force, and it will go into Syria, along with, let's see here, this mech will go in. This mech will go in along with 6 of the infantry. And then the remaining infantry with these 2 tanks supported by this tactical bomber will go into and attack Iraq. Yes, so that's what we'll do. Okay, so first we'll do the fight in Syria. Again, mobile artillery supporting the 2 mech infantry. Got a tank, 6 infantry, and another mech infantry for 1. And then Syria has a defensive army of 2. So I will just use 2 American infantry, which will also serve as the Iraqi defenses too. Okay, there should be a quick and easy victory. So we have 7 altogether for 1. There's 1. And there's 2. Okay, the Syrian defenders hit back and they score a hit of 1. So the 2 Syrian defenders and 1 Soviet defender one Soviet attacker is killed. And the Soviets will take Syria for 1 IPC. Okay, real quick. We will get the ground forces onto there. Good thing I guess it's kind of a good thing that I caught that. Let's see, the space is too small, so I'm going to put a military marker there, and we will use this Task Force 5 for the army in Syria. Oops. Yeah. I know it's a fleet marker, but right now I don't have any more army markers. Alright, so that's the force in Syria. Now we'll go to the attack into Iraq. That is 2 Soviet infantry, 2 Soviet tanks, and a tactical versus 2 Iraq defenders. Okay, so the 2 Soviet infantry, they got 1 hit, and the 2 Soviet tanks miss, and the tactical bomber with a target select of 1 Ooh, they missed. All right, so then the Iraq defenders for 2. They got 1 of the Russian infantry. All right, we'll continue the fight. So 1 infantry for 1. Miss. 2 tanks for 3. Miss. Tactical. Hit. Okay, and then the Iraq defenders. Miss. All right, so the Soviets will take Iraq for another 2 IPC. Catching up to NATO as far as IPC-wise goes. Tactical bomber will automatically just come back and land, as well as the fighter and the bomber. Put them there. Unfortunately, I apologize, guys. I'm gonna have to take a quick little break and prepare to set up, as I prepare to set up the last couple battles. So we'll be back in a little bit. All right, as we continue on now, we move on to the next portion, which is the Soviet atomic raid against the NATO armies in northern Germany. NATO does have a fighter that will attempt to defend the area. However, atomic bombings work just the same as strategic bombings. There's 1 air battle, and then an anti-aircraft gun strike against the bomber, and then it drops its payload. All right, so we have the air battle, which is 3 Soviet jets against a NATO fighter. The Soviet jets will hit on a 2. The NATO fighter will hit on a 1. All right, so the Soviet jets, they got the NATO fighter. Let's see if the NATO fighter can get a 1. No. Okay. So the NATO fighter is dead, and then we will roll for the anti-aircraft gun. Hopefully NATO can get a 1. And they don't. All right, so now there has been a successful atomic drop, or there has been a successful nuclear strike against NATO in northern Germany. Now time to roll for the effects. All right. So the first effect is we roll damage to the defending NATO troops. If I remember correctly, I have to pull up my rule book quick and double check. Let's see here. I gotta find it again. Sorry, guys. Okay. So we roll 1 dice for damage to see how well the nuke lands, or how many the nuke kills. All right, so it killed 3 of the NATO defenders. We're here on the German board, so 3 of these infantry will be dead. Then it is followed by then we follow up with another roll. So northern Germany has 2 facilities. It has an air base and a naval base. And so what we'll do now is we will roll a dice. And if it lands on a 1, 2, or 3, the naval base takes max damage. On a 4, 5, 6, the air base takes a max damage. So the naval base, the naval base will take the max damage of 6. NATO will now also lose, we'll lose 3 IPC for 3 turns. And the NATO army cannot move next turn. It cannot move its next turn. It's completely frozen. And the territory cannot be entered in or left. So even like surrounding troops cannot be there. So that's the end of that phase, or that's the end of that nuclear attack. So the Soviets have drawn second nuclear blood since the United States nuked southern Manchuria over there. So now we'll go into the Russians' next attack, or their next attack, which is the invasion of southern Germany against the United States 7th Army with a coalition of American and NATO forces, which is right here. All right, let's begin. This will probably be a long one. All right, so we've got, let's see here. We've got 3 Soviet infantry. Well, first we have the American and NATO anti-aircraft guns, which will shoot against the attacking NATO fighter, or the attacking Soviet fighters. All right, so we have 1 fighter, safe, 2 fighters, safe, 1 tactical, dead, 2nd tactical, dead, jet, and a jet. And it's dead. Soviets are going in with a smaller air force than I think what they wanted to. So now we got to see how this round goes. So they have 3 infantry for 1. No hits. And then 1, 2, 3, 4. They have 9. They got 9 for 2. That's 1. We'll take it on an anti-aircraft gun. Nothing. 1 more. Nothing. And then they got a whole stack of tanks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They have 10 armor with 3. 10 armor with 2 fighters. So start with the armor for 3. It's 3 hits. We'll say the anti-aircraft gun. So 1, 2, 3. Oh, 4. There's a 4th hit. 4. And then the next set of 5. It's another 2 hits. All right, and then the two fighters. That's 1 hit. And their jet, which is a miss. Okay, so NATO will fire back. They've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 for 2. That's 1 so far. One more for 2. And they got another hit. And then they got, oh boy, the tank is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for 3. It's another 2. Yep, that's 2. And then another 5 for 4. Oh, dang, nabbit. Oh, that's what I get for trying to roll too many dice at once. And that's 1, 2. That's 2 more hits to the Russians. Okay, so let's see here. So after that round of combat, let's see here. So that leaves, well, I think we could either carry on the fight and let my air power try to, well, actually, no. I think what I will do is I'll retreat my air power and do my best. Maybe retreat my air power back to France, because it's going to need to be defended pretty heavily now. Same with the anti-aircraft gun. So yeah, fortunately we're gonna have to try and pull out. So let's start rolling for individual aircraft. Oh, okay, so we have four tactical bombers. None of them are hit. We have 3 fighters. None of them are hit. We have 2 jets. None of them are hit. And an anti-aircraft gun makes it. And there's also a C-47 or C-46 transport that also has to retreat. And he makes it. So all the NATO air forces are able to retreat back to France and position themselves around Paris. Well, that's where we'll put the anti-aircraft gun, and then right here over France is where all of the NATO air forces, well, NATO and American, for air power is going to retreat to. It's not a good battle. So now the U.S. 7th Army ceases to exist as the Soviet armies in Germany roll into southern Germany. And the Soviets can claim victory. Well, they get another step closer in Germany. And then, I think, for the final attack is the naval battle up in the north between all those Soviet submarines against this NATO force, which is also going to scramble a fighter off of Norway. Well, be right back. Sorry about that, guys. We got a new puppy at our house, and our other dogs aren't entirely always happy with her, or at least our oldest one is not always happy with her. So like I said, the final Soviet attack is going to be on the NATO fleet off of Norway here. And this is the Norway fleet. This fighter is being scrambled from Norway. One rule that we also created for this game, it's a common defense for transports. So if you have two transports, you can pair them together to have a defense of 1. Transports are still killed last, but they at least get a defense option. So every 2 transports equals 1 defense. All right, so let's get this all over to the battle board. Whoops. All right, so they got 2 fighters, a tactical, a sub, 3 destroyers, Ark Royal, and a battleship. And then, like I said, 2 of the transports can be used in a common defense. This other one is off the map. Again, transports will die last. Let me just get the Soviet Navy. And because the Soviets got the advanced submarines, all of their submarines get to hit on a 3 now. This is going to be great. They still get a target select of 1. So let's begin. All right, so the Russians have 2 destroyers for 2. Misses. And then they got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 submarines for 3. That's 2 hits. And then we'll take a damage on the battleship. And then 3 more. And they only got 1 more hit. We'll take it on one of the destroyers. Okay, so then NATO. We got the sub and transport, so 2 for 1. Oh, snake eyes. Russia will take it on the surface, on the destroyers first. And then we got the carrier and 3 destroyers, so that's 4 for 2. Oh, man, 3 hits. Oof. Oh, boy. Then the tactical bomber for 3. Ooh, hit. And then the 2 fighters and battleship for 4. Oh, all 3 hits. Well, there went the Soviet Navy, or the Soviet's Northern Fleet. Oh boy. That was not really expecting that. That's how that fight was gonna go. Thought the Russians were gonna have a better chance at this. But I guess I was wrong. Drat. Okay. So that should be the end of combat for the communists. I think. Yes. That is the end of combat for the communists. So we'll quickly get the map oriented. Well, I don't think we really need to clean up the map much. I've already done a lot of that myself. So we could just go right into the non-combats. So we'll start over here in Europe. So let's see here. We got some movements to do. Okay, so we're going to take all the forces in Slovakia from the southern force. Yeah. So we're going to take the entire southern force here. And we're going to move it up to the Central Army in Austria. We're going to take all the ground forces from the Northern Army in Poland. We're going to put those in East Germany. Even though the NATO army, well, actually, if anything, I'm going to send the 2 tanks and the mobile artillery, and actually send them to southern Germany. The infantry from Poland will go into East Germany. This anti-aircraft gun will still stay there for now. Actually, no. We'll move the anti-aircraft gun up, and then we can take this off. This mobile artillery is going to join the Central Army to provide fire support there. These units are all going, so the tanks in Belarus, the 3 infantry and artillery are going to move into Poland. This anti-aircraft gun is going to go into eastern Poland. Whoops. What did I do? Then we got these ground forces from the 3rd Army moving into Belarus. Getting kind of slow getting over there. Shoot. I piecemealed that. I should have planned better. Okay. I think that's everything on the Europe side for the communists. Let me see here. In the Middle East. Oops. Middle East, not much there to do. Yeah. not much to do in the Middle East. It's all pretty much, the units are where they need to be. That needs to go there. All right, we'll go over to Asia now. Goodness. All right, we'll go over to Asia now. We'll start in Southeast Asia. You guys sit right here. You guys move to Yunnan. You two come to Yunnan as well. You two, and this artillery will come to which one is this? Guangxi. Start reinforcing the boys down there. These guys will still act as a reserve force. We're actually gonna bring these two fighters. So this fighter, 1, 2, 3 will join in Yunnan. This fighter will come down to Yunnan as well. Let's see here. Up north around Japan. We moved all these forces back. These forces are good. This jet went back there. Don't think there's much else we need to do in Asia. So I think we are good in Asia as far as moves. Yes. Okay, so we'll deploy. So we'll start with the deployments in Asia. So we have the mech, and well, first we have the new major factory built in Peking. However, it can still only deploy 3 units this turn. We have the jet fighter, the Chinese jet fighter, which will deploy actually wait. I think what I actually want to do, I'm going to move these 2 forces actually up here. We need to guard the capital a little bit. I'm going to throw this jet on the capital as well. And then we have this mech and mobile artillery, which will go into the center one right here. And then the minor factory that China purchased will be built here in India at Calcutta. Now for the Russians, the minor that they purchased will go here in Turkey. The mechanized infantry and mobile artillery will deploy in Poland, as well as the jet fighter that they purchased will deploy in Poland as well. So this is now what the Polish forces look like. This is what the majority of the Russian armies look like now. We have the Russian army in southern Germany, Austria, Poland, Belarus, Leningrad, Syria, and then we have the fleets there, which I made the mistake. This fleet I should have moved the Baltic fleet closer so it could have helped engage the NATO fleet off of Norway. Over here in China, the Chinese have been stopped, but they're pushing as hard as they can to try and get down to Malaya and free Southeast Asia for themselves, and they can secure one of their flanks against the Allies. So then at the end of the turn, Russia gets 63 IPC and China gets 45. Hopefully, and well, not hopefully, that'll be the end of the turn, and NATO and the Allies and NATO are gonna have to figure out what they're gonna do now that one of their major armies, which that still needs to be chipped out for the loss of 3 that they took. They gotta figure out what they're gonna do, considering their army in northern Germany is stuck for this turn and can't make any movements whatsoever. So until next time, guys, when we get to the Allies' turn, take care.